It's up to you. Let's take a look at the bad debt industry and how much debt is out there. Between 1998 and 99, there were 2 million bankruptcies that were filed in this country. And there's approximately $1.2 trillion in uncollected judgments. Folks, would you say that's a lot of judgments out there today? Yeah. It's a huge, huge number. $1.2 trillion in uncollected judgments. How many zeros is that?
A lot, several.
That's a lot. Okay, a whole bunch of zeros go over there, and gosh, it'd be nice to have that much money. Well, how many of you would like to have just a fraction of a percent of that number? Be very happy with it. Well, what I find is that most people who decide that they want to get into the judgment business, they do not have focus. So they end up spinning their wheels in lots of different areas. Is there anyone here, or actually, how many people here are willing to work hard for money? Everybody. But folks, there's a difference between working hard and working smart. Would you agree? Yeah. A lot of people work hard, but they don't work smart. So they spend a lot of time doing the things where they can work really hard on, but the things that will make them the money, because it's new or it's uncomfortable or they don't really like it, they don't spend any time on that, so they wonder why they never make any money. And I'm going to really try to break you through some of these barriers. Can anybody take a guess why we're kind of going over some of these things right here in the beginning? Anybody take a guess? To try to build you up a little bit and realize, okay, these are things that are holding you back. Because what I want to do over the next couple days is I want you all to keep your minds open to different possibilities and the things that have held you back in the past. Because if we can get past some of the things that have held you back in the past, that means you're on to a better and brighter future. Even if you don't do anything that you've learned out of this boot camp, is it possible that you may be able to look at things a little bit different? Because you've got to understand what's holding you back. So we have $1.2 trillion in uncollected judgments, and now according to the American Bars, or excuse me, not the American Bar, but the American Consumer Association, 48% of the American people have bad credit right now. Now here's an easy way to look at it. Everybody look to the right. Okay, everybody look to the right, to the left. Okay, one of you more than likely has a debt problem right now. Okay. If you think about it, it's 1 out of 2 people. There's almost 300 million people in the United States. Folks, how many people potentially have bad credit right now if it's almost 50%? What's half of 300? 150 million people have bad credit right now today. Do you think there's some people out there that you may be able to help? If we couple that with $1.2 trillion in unsatisfied judgments, when somebody comes to me after boot camp and says, Mike, I can't find any judgments, that's actually kind of what I do. After I stop laughing, I go, you know what? I really don't want to hear it. Especially if they've been to the boot camp. I don't want to hear it. Because we show you how to find an unlimited number of judgments. We'll show you how to buy mailing lists of this stuff. But it's up to you to do it. Most people won't do that, though. You all are going to be different, right? Right. If you're going to be different, say yes. Yes. Oh, such enthusiasm. You got to decide where you want to be. Let's talk about what the bad debt industry is not. It does not lend money, so you're not going to lend money to anybody. You don't broker any loans. So we're not talking about you find a loan, you broker to somebody else, they buy it. We're not talking about any of that stuff. And it does not create or originate debt instruments, meaning that you're not going to loan money, create a mortgage. You're not going to do any of those things. You're not creating promissory notes, personal loans, guarantees. You're not doing any of that. What you do is you find deals that you can make money off of with very little money out of your pocket, typically $1. In some cases, you may choose to buy things in advance, and that's okay if you choose to do that. But I'd be willing to bet that all of you, by the time you're done with this boot camp, will never prepay for anything. You'll always option everything that you ever buy. You'll do that first, just as a way to reduce your risk, which means, realistically, you have no money out of pocket. When we get into that, you'll see why. The other thing is that when you help people who have debt problems, they're the ones with the debt problems, and you are not going to fix their problem by giving them more money. The problem they ran into is they did not have proper money management skills. That's not your fault, is it? No. They're hiring you by paying you a fee. They're hiring you to solve their problem, but some of those people will get right back into that problem a couple years later. I've had people who have come back after we've resolved their debt issues, settled at a discount, a couple years later say, well, I got back into debt again because all the debt went away and I need you to do it again. And they go into this little cycle. Well, you're not going to lend anybody money. All right, let's take a look at the market size on judgments. On average, there are 350,000 judgments in every single county in the United States, of which there's about 50,000 new judgments created each and every year, which comes out to about a $75 billion a year business. And the way we come up with those numbers, that's like 500,000, but everybody just throw a zero off on the end, will you? We got a little typo. With an average value of $2,000, with 15 counties per state in 50 states, we're looking at $75 billion a year in new business. Is that 15 counties per state? Is that high or low?
No.
How many counties do we have, literally? Close to 3,500 counties in the United States. Is that a lot? So this goes back and helps support a little bit that $1.2 trillion in unsatisfied judgments that exist out there right now. And that's going back somewhere between 10 and 12 years. That's it. Now, how many of you were aware that judgments do expire? Okay, they don't last forever. And they must be, but they are renewable. Every state allows them to be renewed. So they can be renewed, but they do expire. But most creditors are not aware that they expire. They think if they get a judgment, it's just good forever, and it doesn't work that way. So a lot of people don't get paid on what they're owed. Let's talk about an option. An option gives you the right or the privilege, but not the requirement, to buy or sell something during a specific period of time. If the debt goes bad for any reason whatsoever, whether the creditor knew about it or not, prior to the date of you buying a judgment, you get your money back. Is that okay? I want to make sure we're very well protected. You all agree with that? Does that sound like a good idea? Okay. So an option gives me the right to buy Ben's judgment. What it does is it ties Ben up so that he cannot sell that judgment to anybody else. He cannot assign it to anybody else for collection. He can't do anything with it during that 120 days. Who has control over that judgment right now? I do. 120 days is how long? How many months? 4 months, right? 4 times 30 days, 120 days. Is it possible that the property might sell within that 120 days? Yes. And if it doesn't, by the way, there's a clause we can add into that option agreement which can give us another 120 days for a total of 240 days. Is it likely that that property will probably sell within that time period? Or they'll refinance whatever it is. So options become very, very important. So we've talked about judgment, a lien, a judgment lien, and we talked about options.